What's up, guys? Steve and Nate back with another episode of This Disc is Great with Steve and Nate, which this is what, episode 50?
50.
Is this episode 50? We're halfway to 100, so in like a year we'll be at episode 100 of This Disc is Great with Steve and Nate. I'm playing with the Getaway, but what disc are we doing today, Steve?
It's got the Prodigy H3, their second version.
So yeah, Prodigy took a couple of their hybrid drivers, sped them up, gave them some more glide, and put out new versions. Before we get into the review, though, let's hit disc number really quickly. We have the May disc golf boxes should be shipping within a week and a half, I hope. That'll have the DDX, the Discmania towel, Discmania pin, Discmania wristband, Discmania keychain, and maybe a sticker, something like that. June, we're just getting to announce, we are getting Lucid Getaways, which this is a first run Lucid Getaway that releases on Friday. Do you know what's cool about the Getaways that we're getting? Have I told you exactly what
You have not told me yet, man.
So those are getting ghost stamps, which is where you stamp it without the foil, leaves a really cool impression. That's the first time Dynamic's doing that for anybody.
Cool.
So you're getting a ghost stamp, Lucid Getaway, Silly Pint, one of our new mini discs, sticker, and of course your UDisc Pro subscription. You want to run through what's in that ultimate package real quick?
Yeah, you're getting the Ultra Star, you're getting a jersey, you got a mini, and you'll also get the membership to the UDisc Pro account. So super great packages. We love packing them up. And then we got the Facebook page where everyone talks about what they got, and Nate hooks up people with previous months if you missed and you just want to get some of that stuff. So
yeah, so this should be a pretty cool couple weeks for disc golf people. You'll have the May one coming, and then right after that you'll have the Getaways. So we're super excited about that. We're going to get this out and throw it so we can give you a review before that comes out. It's supposed to be like an Escape Pro, a little bit more overstable than an Escape, Thunderbird-ish. We'll find out. All right, so if you're new to the show, where have you been? We're on episode 50. What we do is we take brand new release discs, we got through a field, chuck them a bunch of times so that you guys can see how they fly. We'll show you those videos in a second. But we do this show so that you guys can see how these discs fly before you buy them, and then so that we can talk to them about people in the store. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Steve, why don't you tell us a little bit about the H3V2?
Sure. So what Prodigy says about the H3V2. Prodigy Disc H3V2 is a Speed 11 hybrid driver. It's been built upon the characteristics of the original H3 to create an improved and superior disc. Like the original, the H3V2 is stable to slightly overstable, depending on the thrower's power. The H3V2 sports an upgraded shape from the original H3 with a slightly shallower rim depth, offering an easier grip and an updated outside rim that allows for a consistent yet faster flight with more glide. You can gain more distance while maintaining dependability and a slightly overstable finish. So the numbers on this are 11, 5, -1, and 3.
So numbers-wise, what does that immediately remind you of?
That is a Wraith.
Yep, those are the exact same numbers as a Wraith.
Yep.
Those are going to be something close to, what are some other Wraith-ish discs out there that I'm spacing on right now?
Almost a Trespass.
Close to a Trespass, a little bit slower, but pretty much. Yeah, I'm kind of spacing on anything else that's close. But yeah, pretty much a Wraith. Going to be close to a Wrath, I guess, because they copied that one. All right, but yeah, so Naomi's already getting in here. Make sure you start guessing your farthest backhand distance, because whoever gets his farthest backhand distance is going to win that H3V2. I need you guys to start telling me your favorite Prodigy-sponsored pro disc golfers, and one of those guesses will win a very special prize. And then somebody who makes us laugh or makes a good, insightful comment will win this pink one. So we give away all the stuff that we threw in the show. But yeah, let's just get into it. We'll see how this does feel a lot more comfortable in my hand than, say, the original H3s. I've never threw one, but they felt funky. This feels a lot more comfortable, feels a lot better. Let's see how she flies.
Rule number 1. That's maybe a new thing we could do.
No.
See, started off. For the U's, we start off with the Extreme Hyzer. Wasn't terribly high in the air, but I didn't sky it, yep. But I gave it enough room to get out. I've been getting about 350 with a lot of these higher speed discs, so that one probably got a little wind under it, but
And you got a little flip up there, but not a ton, especially considering the like 20-mile-an-hour winds we were throwing into that day. So it's not an H1. It's not super overstable, but it did hold that hyzer even into that headwind, so that's good. I should turn off my volume. Same kind of super spike hyzer line into that wind, just holds it and glides out. I mean, anything over 300 on just a pure hyzer is going to be pretty good.
yeah.
Especially with the wind killing some of the distance there. But again, I was really worried about flipping this into a headwind, so the fact that it held the hyzer, I'm pretty impressed with. All right, this has that little bit of crosswind.
Yeah,
so
we actually moved to a different G-pad so we could go away from the wind, and it helped my accuracy towards Nate a lot.
I didn't think that was getting anywhere close to me, and it just kept coming.
It actually did well getting pushed by the wind with how it glided. I was pretty happy with the amount of distance it was covering, even while it was slowing down.
And yeah, that's some pretty reliable hyzer there. There you get it almost flat.
Yeah, that's almost flat, and now you can see it's really liking staying flat. It has that -1 turn, but it always is coming out, so pretty consistent.
Can you remind people how to win the prizes again?
Yeah, one of these is just going to go to somebody who randomly makes a nice comment, makes us laugh, or is helpful, or says something cool. This one's going to go to whoever guesses the farthest backhand distance, so which so far the farthest we've seen is 326, so guess higher than that. And then make sure you are telling me who your favorite Prodigy sponsored pro is, and you might win a special prize.
All right, next one.
All right, now we're getting a little more power into some shots, a little flatter. Again, this is a pretty extreme headwind, so it flipped a little more than it normally would. But throwing on just a little bit of hyzer, it popped up, turned, rode that out. Again, into the headwind, it's going to ride that turn a little longer, but it still faded out at the end, which I was impressed with. It's not turning and burning like a flippier disc might. And 343 out of a speed 11 discs is not as far as I'd like it to go, but it's pretty good little pop on there.
Now that one, I remember that throw. I was just like, how did it just all of a sudden turn like that? And I don't think I hit the tree. So I guess maybe we've got a disc that can.
Let's just watch that throw again. I think you got some kind of a funky release bounce here. Yeah, I don't know what you did there, but it was weird.
Whatever it did, that is a really late turn. So who knows? Maybe if you beat it up after a while, it eventually has like just a crazy late turn, late flight turn. And actually, that could be pretty useful in a lot of wooded golf situations.
All right, let's see some.
The
Flying
monster
shots.
mashes.
Yeah, this was me trying to rip it as far as possible. I had to put a little hyzer on it once you get on it flat, which you'll see in a minute, it will turn quite a bit. But on that little bit of hyzer, it popped up, turned, faded out, exactly what you want on a distance drive. 394, for reference, Steve and I top out somewhere around 420 to 440. So 394 is not quite our max distance, but again, we're throwing discs that we're not used to, so we aren't quite getting all that we can get out of it. But 394 is a pretty good distance for a speed 11 disc. It's not much farther than I'm going to be able to put a disc out there. There you're seeing that turn with that flatter release.
Yeah, especially I was really trying to get my major distance, and I hadn't been getting it from the hyzer, so I was like, all right, let's get a little ante on it. So 365, I was like, all right, finally, I got a good pop on it. Because having that flip, but it really does fade out. So I was.
You got some wind assisted fade there. It probably would have crashed out sooner, like not as far right, but it's still, it's got stability at the end.
It's it was flying pretty good.
Also, make sure you check out UDisc. That's how we measure all the distances of our throws, and they sponsor Disc members, so check those guys out. Really sweet disc golf app. So this, pop it on just that little bit of ante, and it's holding that most of the way and kind of gently fading out at the end. Again, out to 365. This reminds me a little more of maybe my Orc than my Wraith, and that's about the distances I'm putting that disc. So it's feels a little closer to that necessarily than a Wraith, so probably maybe just a touch slower than that 11 speed, but doing the same kind of things that I do with my beat up Orc. And I think the red one was slightly less stable just in general, but so if you put that ante on it, again I have that crosswind kind of helping me hold it. You can force it over on an ante and get it to fly out nice and easy. And it's going to hold that line for a while, but still fade out at the end. I just didn't give this one quite enough height. All right, I think we ought to be pretty close. Oh, nope, roller. Oh, I did throw a roller with this one. I was rolling the Mavericks and the Tantrum, so I thought, why not? It did all right. It rolled pretty straight. Let's see. Oh, it's still going. All right, 357. So that rolled better than I thought it. I remembered it rolling. So apparently you can throw this on a roller if you want to. That's a pretty straight line. Faded out at the end. It's a little more stable than the typical disc I throw for rollers, which does help it not flip over too soon. So I can put a little more on it and it'll go a little straighter and finish left instead of right. I am surprised that this throw went well. A flick into the wind.
Just tried to grab it.
But sidearm into the wind, I put some hyzer on it because I was really worried about flipping it. It held that line the whole way, like we talked about, same thing it did with the backhand. Flicks generally have a little bit more torque on them, and so they want to flip over a little more. But 279, I max out on a sidearm at like 320 on a mash. So 280 on a hyzer, that's a pretty solid forehand shot for me. I think you got that little flatter and he gave you credit for.
It's one of those
Yep.
oddball frames.
If I have to throw if I'm forced to throw a forehand, if I can at least get it 250, I'll be happy with that. So I will take that all day, getting a 250 sidearm. And this disc did well taking the torque, but I felt I did have to make sure it wasn't hyzer when I went to give it that pop.
Yeah, let's see if we had some flatter flick shots and see what happened here. See there, that's released flat with just a little bit of ante, and it's definitely one to cruise over, but I don't have as much power in my forehand, so it slows down sooner and fades out still. Again, this is a pretty solid driver, both backhand and forehand. You probably want to have a little bit of power, so like the super slow arm speed players may not fit them very well, but if you don't have a massive pro arm, this could be a really solid disc for you. Hey, Swags is watching. And again, this is into like a 20-mile-an-hour headwind. So
the fact that I was able to keep it from rolling over, the few times that I did, it actually flew really well. So it will fight the wind, but you gotta play with how much it's gonna flip on you. So it's a little touchy, but it goes.
yeah, so how do you feel about the numbers? Prodigy doesn't give the actual numbers, so those are from a third party. How do you feel about those numbers as far as, are they close? Do you feel like it was a little bit different?
I feel like when I've thrown Wraiths, they went farther. So I guess you would relate that into speed.
Speed and glide.
The rim doesn't feel as big, I would say, as a Wraith. So I like how it's a comfortable rim for being a high-speed driver. But I would say it's just a little more than a fairway, really.
Yeah, I'd definitely probably give it somewhere. I mean, it's kind of a tweener, 10 to 11. I might go 4 glide. It wasn't the glidiest disc in the world. A negative, and you can go back between. If we did the dynamic, I might give it a negative 1.5. It's got a little bit more turn than a 1, I think.
It might be the plastic too.
Maybe. But it's definitely got some turn to it, but it's got that reliable fade, so I think the 3 is solid. Like I said, I compare it a lot to the Orc that I have in my bag that's been there for like 6 years. It's pretty beat in and does some nice fun things. For me, this one just kind of awkwardly fits in between, like not super much farther than my fairways, but it's not going far enough to be my max distance driver. It's not touchy enough. It's not going short enough to be my fairways. So it fits those kind of in between shots. I don't use my works necessarily a lot. Just kind of depends on the hole. But it kind of fits that in between slot, which Prodigy doesn't really have. You kind of go from fairways to distance drivers. And the original 8 series was just kind of awkward and felt funny in your hand. These feel a lot cleaner and gives you something to bridge the gap between the D and the X series and the F series. So it does that solidly. And like I said, it's got the turn to give you some distance, but it's got some really reliable fade. Again, super slow arm players probably aren't going to be able to get a lot out of this disc. But if you've kind of got moderate 350 to 400 power, this could be a really solid control driver disc for you.
I got a couple of the winners for the comment in the distance if you need to.
Cool.
We'll
Let's
the
do that.
First. The farthest throw was Nate's backhand 394.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, we did have someone guess 395, but we don't do over. So we do.
You don't do over. We used to do that, but
Oh,
that's all
really?
you. Yeah.
I didn't know. I thought this was.
I just went closest because
But we do have. We'll go with without going over, and that is going to be guessed 386. Backhand Jimmy Swenson actually guessed that one,
nice.
so he's going to win. Which one?
He is running the red one that Steve is holding.
Who's winning? Because that might not be.
Jimmy Swenson.
All right. Jimmy won that. And then the other. What was the other one? Pink one for comment.
The pink one for just a good question or
I
comment.
got a great comment. This is from Logan Luther. He had a couple. He said, "Hey Nate, the dark brown said he wants to meet Steve at the DeLorean with that hat." Doc Brown said, "Sorry,
Oh, I think we lost our
we
camera.
lost the camera." Doc Brown said to meet him at the DeLorean with that hat, Steve. Hashtag must reach 88 miles an hour. That's gonna be Logan Luther.
So you win this pink H3V2 that I'm holding that you can't
Can't
see.
see it.
Also, just people usually ask this. Both these discs that we're throwing are 175, so that we can keep it pretty similar between videos. Also, it's kind of funny that people made the Doc Brown comments because we just got some new stickers in, including one that kind of looks like we ripped off Back to the Future. So you'll be seeing new stickers in your orders soon. We got a whole bunch of new designs. All right, so as soon as we get back here, we'll show off the. Are we back? Cool, we're back. All right, so
Well, let's use the winners again just in case.
yeah, that's also what we're doing.
So for the longest throw, Jimmy Swenson's getting the red H3. For the best comment, we got a pink H3 for Logan Luther. And now,
And then
the
I asked you
banner-
guys for your favorite Prodigy pros because I've got a banner that Prodigy sent us that is just way too big for us to hang up anywhere here. So I figured we'd pass it on to one of you guys. And it features Mr. Paul Ulibarri. And this thing's legit like 6 feet wide. 6 feet by like 3 feet. So I have a giant Paul Ulibarri banner for someone who said their favorite Prodigy pro is Paul Ulibarri.
We have two.
And there was a couple people that said that. So
Can we
just,
flip a disc for it?
just pick one of them. Whichever one was. How about whichever one was first?
Who is first? All right, we'll go with the first person who mentioned Paul Ulibarri, and that looks to be. Where is he?
Saw one of our old friends said something about him. I don't know
Mark
if he was-
McGinnis.
yeah,
The first one. Paul Ulibarri could do some amazing things with Prodigy, so
that he
Mark
can.
McGinnis is getting that.
You have this amazing, gigantic Prodigy banner.
You could use it as a blanket almost.
Legit. All right, thanks guys for tuning in. That was episode 50 of This Disc is Great with Steve and Nate, the Prodigy H3V2. We'll be back next week. We got to go out and film some stuff. We got captains, getaways, vultures, stings, a lot more than that I'm forgetting right now, but like sites, lots of stuff we'll be filming and getting that out to you as soon as we can. See you guys later.
Thanks, y'all.